TCT presents Public Report, a look at the issues and events of importance to our viewing area. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to TCT Public Report. I am your host, Richard McCorkell, and I am joined by my lovely co-host and wife, Crystal McCorkell. We have a very, very great show for you today. We have a woman by the name of Carolyn Covington. Now, currently she is the founder of Insightful Visionaries, which is a nonprofit for the blind and visually impaired, but she is so much more. Carolyn, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Yes.
I have to say before we even start, because I know you women have a lot to talk about with what we're going to talk about, but I got to tell you, even when I was dating Crystal, your name would come up multiple times.
Yes.
So to actually be sitting here and having a chat with you today is an absolute honor for me. So there you go.
Yes,
All
yes.
right,
And let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about you being in the industry of hair. Because I know that when you graduated, we were talking about you started your first salon and then a fleet of salons. Let's talk about that first.
Oh, okay. Well, in the beauty industry, cosmetology, I graduated from vocational high school in Maryland and started right off working a few jobs in the DC area, and then at age 21 going ahead and opening the very first in-flight hair salon.
Wow.
There, yeah.
So did you know what you wanted to do when you were young, or when did it finally come on you?
Absolutely. From a child, I knew I was going to be a hairstylist from that first Christmas when you get the doll and you cut her hair and she's, you know, doesn't have any hair the next day. And it was just a dream of mine, always, and you just pursued it to make that dream a reality. So it really starts with passion.
Yes,
a huge passion of doing this. Yes.
And when did you really start putting it into work, like physically getting into stuff? And
Oh, well, when I started going to beauty school, well, actually before, in high school, I worked every day. I went to school in cosmetology, went to work afterwards in some great salons with some great mentors at a very young age. So, yeah, I really entered student competitions and, you know, just got heavily involved in the beauty industry.
Wow, so you got to see it firsthand pretty young.
Firsthand.
So you must have saw a lot.
Oh, a lot.
right. And learned a lot, I'm sure.
And learned a lot from some really great women. Yes.
Wow.
Both the customers as well as the salon owners.
Yes.
It's a great experience.
And what era was that, roughly?
In the 80s.
In the 80s, okay.
Well, late 70s into the 80s,
okay.
yes.
So fashion was fashion's always been a big deal, but I think always hair, fashion, all go together. So what was cosmetology your first passion, or what was the thing that you wanted to jump into?
It's been my only passion.
Okay, all right.
You know, fortunately, because I made it a very successful career for myself, but I've been on that one track. You know, you know, as young, we have to find ourselves and explore, but hair has been it from day one, and I stayed on that track, and God blessed me over and over with so many opportunities in the beauty industry.
That's really good, because it's, you know, sometimes people have sometimes problems sometimes trying to figure out what they want to do, and they go through 100 things trying to find out, or sometimes some people have
we have to do that.
And trying to do certain things, but you kind of plugged in early and pretty much figured out what you want to do, and so that's great. Now you owned a fleet of salons. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, you didn't own a fleet right away.
Not quite a fleet.
How did it all start?
I always use that as a young adult. I always say, I want to own a fleet of salons. I want to be a famous hairstylist.
Yes.
You know, I want to own a fleet of salons, and I want to travel the world.
Wow.
And that's what I always said. And I just tried to really try to do it. Tried to do it all. So I had the first salon in Maryland, and then an opportunity came to come to Raleigh, North Carolina, and open the salon here in Raleigh, and I did. And then from there, as I had really great employees that were looking to become entrepreneurs, we partnered out and opened up that fleet of salons. But we opened up many salons. So Raleigh, Durham, Greenville.
Wow.
Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
My goodness.
Yeah, and we just had an awesome time and an awesome experience working together as a team. I've always been a team player. Gotta have the team.
And you did some teaching, all that good stuff.
Beauty school, licensed instructor. Advanced training has always been on the forefront for me. You know, you cannot just continue to do the same thing the same ways, especially in our beauty industry. It changes. Every day it's changing. So we do a lot of advanced training and continuing education. It's really, really important.
How do you keep on top of that one? Because especially with fashion, I'm a guy, so I have no fashion sense, right?
Yes, you do.
So how do you keep up with what's coming up next, or how do you know that?
Well, through a lot of travel. So I spent a lot of time in London, England, and I also took stylists with me because that was sort of like the fashion mecca capital for hair, and we would go there and see what's trending there and bring it back to the States. You know, we would be a little bit ahead of our time, which we loved.
Right.
You just, through magazines, fashion, staying in touch, staying relevant, you have to do it in this industry.
Yes.
Yes, you have to do it. We're looked to be the trendsetters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to be if you want to stay.
And you have to be.
Yes.
You constantly have to be finding something new. You have to constantly reinvent yourself as well.
And traveling overseas, young, you get this sort of a global perspective, not just you know, down home southeast you know, perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a couple of my first adventures over there. Every year I made sure that I put aside money to travel and advance myself in the beauty industry. That's continuing education, haircutting classes, and I always would want to go to London. So I think I told you the story of how I came up with the in-flight salon anyway. It was time to take the trip, and I took the trip over, and was supposed to come up with a name and a concept because my brother's an architect, and he was going to design the salon, and I stayed for, I think it was 5 weeks was the training over there, and when it was time to come back, I got on the plane. I remember rushing to Heathrow Airport, jumping, sitting in the seat, and I was like, uh-oh. I didn't do any work on the salon, but when I sat down and the flight attendant said, "You are now in flight," I was like, that's it. That's it, it's gonna be in flight. We're gonna fly first class, two can fly for the price of what? I came up with all these concepts, you know, on that one flight on the way back. So when I got back, that's what we named the salon, In-Flight Hair Salon.
Wow.
And we had a whole concept around it. Our front desk was built like a cockpit, had lights on the front of it, had boarding passes.
My goodness.
You know, we always had to make your reservation. It was just fun. I think when you do a concept and you allow other people to buy into your concept, you know, then you can be very successful with it because it's not just you.
Right.
It's all about the consumer, you know, what you're doing for them with customer care and how you involve them in it. They'll never forget it. In-Flight will never be forgotten.
Right.
And that's a good feeling.
And I know those of you in the beauty industry, especially where you come from, you also kind of are like a counselor. You're a minister. You're a
psychologist.
Right.
A coach.
Yeah.
All these new things, all these new terminologies we're using. Coaching. We've been coaching our entire life.
Wow.
We actually, you know, I can go back and I have people that call me from 30 years ago, you know, that worked with me, and their children are grown and their children will call me. So it's like generational things that we go through. We help raise their children. It's like a family thing. A salon is a network of people coming together, not just for beauty services. It's, you know, it's to commune and just to keep up with what's going on in the world too.
Yes.
That's good.
Absolutely.
And so tell us about In-Flight a little bit. When you went from the In-Flight salons to your life-changing news, were you actually doing hair when all this happened?
Oh, okay. Well, after In-Flight, I merged. I can't do the same thing forever. And we're talking 30 plus years. So I went into the spa business. So I opened Jolie the Day Spa in Cameron Village, partnered with a group out of Boston. They had Jolie in Maryland, in Bethesda, Maryland, and one in Buckhead in Atlanta, Georgia. And so they wanted to bring one to Raleigh, and it kind of fell in my lap. Another God opportunity is what I call them. And so I opened Jolie, and that is year 2000, and that is when I actually got my diagnosis. Things started to disappear as I was driving and walking into things and kind of bumping, and what was happening, I was losing my peripheral vision. So I was diagnosed with RP, which is retinitis pigmentosa. Was told it was a very rare disease and that I would go blind. I think the doctor said then quickly, but it's gradual. and that there was nothing they could do about it. So when he said that, I said, well, if there's nothing you could do, then I'll just have to keep on pressing on with my life and moving forward. And I took on even more projects to keep busy. And at that point, I really felt as though I was racing against time, because we don't know when I'm going to lose all of my vision. So to make it clear, I'm not blind, I'm visually impaired. With RP, every day you're losing some of your peripheral until you're looking through like a tunnel, little tiny tunnel. But I'm still sighted, and I still have central vision. So I am able to still do a lot of things.
But there must have been a point though when you got that news that it had to be a setback.
And I traveled on for another 15 years in denial, and I didn't want other people to know either. So I continued, as I said, I actually left, we sold Jolie, and then I opened the Elegance Day Spa in North Raleigh, and then from there, 10 years later, I opened Aqua Salon and Spa on Creedmoor Road. And at that point in 2015 is when I realized it was really time to go home. You know, I had lost my I had given my driver's license up, not lost my driver's license. And I just decided it was time. And that is when it hit me, going home. Oh yeah, going home, because, you know, we've been busy, always away, always working, always traveling, you know.
Yeah, you were very busy.
Yeah, very busy. But my wonderful husband of 30 years now, you know, he embraced what was going on with me and helped me to realize that, you know, sometimes we take these turns in life and there's something better there. You know, God has a better plan. He has another purpose for your life. So I did go through, I'm no superwoman. I have an S on my chest, but I've always thought that S was for serving people. I love to serve, and that's what I've done all my entire life. But I then realized that I needed help. You know, so I went through the depression. And what's so interesting, I think you guys have met James Benton. What he had said to me was, he's blind, and he said that it's not really a depression. He said you could look at it as if you were grieving. It's just like when someone loses a loved one. You lost something you've had a very long time, you know, and you have to go through that process. Nobody can tell you when, nobody can tell you how. It's just when it's time to stop grieving, and you will. So I wrestled and wrestled until God just said, okay, enough, you know, let me have it.
Other
let
than
me take care of this for you.
And that's great to have that, and it's thank goodness you had that foundation there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I come from a very strong church in Raleigh, and I'm very grateful at the Body of Christ that Pastor Redmond has a sound teaching, and so I already had what I needed, you know, to know that God was going to take care of me, but I just had to let it go first.
And
you know, that's the hard part.
Yes, it is.
How did you kind of get your family acclimated to this lifestyle change, I guess?
Yeah, it's a total lifestyle change. We're still acclimating every day.
Okay.
You know? My husband calls himself my CNI guy, and you know, you know, and we have our moments. We have our funny moments. We have our moments where we cry, and you know, and my kids. It's amazing with my sons is that it has really made them more compassionate to people, other people, and things that are going on in life. You know, the children of our generation now, they're so busy. They're busier than we were. You know, that, you know, this has actually slowed them down a little bit to be compassionate to other people. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for that.
And Carolyn, let us talk about how your day starts, since you know, this your eye vision has kind of left there, and how you start in the morning. How is it different from when you get up in the morning? What do you do? Your makeup and all this other stuff.
Well, first of all, I pray at night before I lay down. You know, when I get up, I pray again. That before I even open my eyes, I just pray that God will allow me to just see what I saw yesterday. You know, to just stay where I am now. You know. And if that happens, I'm good. But I'm good anyway, either way. And so then once I open my eyes, I start my day like any normal person starts their day. I'm not able to put on makeup like I have on today on the set. You know, of course, a makeup artist has to do this for me. but I can still pull it together because I've, did it repetitiously for so many years.
Yes.
Things may not look as perfect, but
Yeah.
I make it through it. But one of the things that when God spoke to me to get up and to do something, and He enabled me to go help people again.
Yes.
And that's what I was most terrified of. Was, am I going to be able to help anybody?
Wow.
You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't about me. It was about, I have to be doing something. You know, I have to be making a difference.
Yes.
You know, that's what my whole life has always been about. I can't leave here without making a difference.
Right.
So He gave me insightful visionaries.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's that all about? What's
He laid that on my heart to do a nonprofit.
Okay.
And my husband says that I've always had nonprofits. All these businesses that I've had, he's like, oh, they were nonprofits. No, but he truly gave me a nonprofit. And we say we're empowering the blind and visually impaired, but we're actually there to empower any persons of disabilities. But I specifically, that is who I am now. And now that I have surrounded myself in that community, I look at it and I see that it's such an underserved community. Oh, it's unreal. One of the biggest thing is equal opportunity for employment. You know,
Yes.
the community, the blind and visually impaired community, only 30% are employed, and only 2% of that are professionally employed.
Wow.
And we've got to change that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got to change that. I look back over the years, I've employed over 1,500 people. And I would like
Wow.
to be able to do the same thing with my new community.
Yes.
You know, it's just it's creating the awareness so that people know that they can do the same jobs through all the assisted technology.
Sure.
Yeah, because you all came out to RLCB.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did,
that's
yes.
one of the things when my counselor got me up off that chair and got me over to RLCB.
Yes.
It just changed my life. You know, between Siri on the iPad and
Yes.
the woo, you know, it takes time to learn all of that. But there's nothing that you can't do. You know, and the I call it my BVI community. There's some brilliant people, brilliant, eager to work. They just want an opportunity. They
Yes.
just want a chance to do it.
Right.
And there's so many corporations that can find a way to incorporate them in there, just making some changes through technology. They can
Yes.
do the same jobs as anyone else is there.
Absolutely. And what I find, and we had the pleasure of meeting all the people at the Raleigh Lions Clinic for the Blind.
Correct.
Yes. There's such a passion. These aren't just people who are just getting by, I have an illness or I have a condition, let me just slide by. These are people who are game changers.
Yes.
And I've met so many inspiring people.
Very nice people. Yes.
Yes. I'm inspired. And that's the whole thing. I'm inspired by the young adults that are blind and visually impaired, and they just want to live just a normal life. You know, they're out there. They're going to college. They're getting their master's degrees. They're working in communications.
Right.
They're out catching buses, traveling around. They're braver than I am, and they want to live independently.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to help them
Yes.
be able to do that by employing them.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to do that because I have, what I've learned from them is that when they come to Governor Moorhead School as a child and they spend the 18 years there and then they become that young adult, they've socialized here in the Raleigh area, and then if they don't go on to college or get a job with some type of assisted technology that they've learned there at the school, they go back to the little rural town that they grew up in. You know, they left that town, you know, wearing a label as the blind person, and then they'll come back as the blind adult.
Okay.
And we have to change that. So I have a program that I'm working on now. One of the things that Steve Murphy said to me is that you don't totally have to reinvent yourself because you're no longer sighted. You just have to figure out how to do what you did before, a little differently.
Right.
Yes.
So I want to stay in the wellness and the beauty industry. Of course, no one's going to let me cut their hair. Richard might let me cut their hair. But, no one's going to let me cut their hair anymore. But in the wellness industry,
Yes.
I'm creating a reflex therapy course where they can reduce stress for people through foot massage, hand massage, and head massage,
Wow.
and scalp massage. And so there we would be able to employ them. They would learn aromatherapy, which
okay.
they already know a lot about plants and smells and fragrances.
Right.
And they would be able to come to work and provide these services in a wellness setting. So we call it 4 senses, and I like that because, you know, we have 5 senses,
Yeah.
but of course we're absent the sight. But we could take a sighted person who's living in this hustle bustle world, and we can relax them. So it gives so much value to what we do as a blind or visually impaired person, to be able to do that for people.
Wow.
Wow. Let's talk about this event that's coming up.
Yes.
Oh, yay! I'm so excited. The Blind Idol.
Yes.
Sort of like American Idol, right? And, well, actually, before we get to the Blind Idol, we're going to have that Visionary Honors Dinner, and you all are going to host
Yes,
that.
we are.
Yes, we are.
We're so
Yes.
excited. Coffee
Yes,
and
yes,
Cream is
yes.
going to be hosting.
Yes.
We are going to honor Dr. Diane Whitaker. She is over the low vision at Duke.
Okay.
She's my doctor, and I found out she's everybody else's doctor. Everybody I tell you to, they're like, she's my doctor, she's my doctor.
Yes.
Phenomenal woman. Not only just from knowing what she's doing as a doctor, she inspires you, she encourages you. First time I went to her office, she made me think I was going to drive again. Well, that didn't happen, but I still love her just the same.
Yeah.
But she's totally into finding different devices for low vision. She's really wants us to have that opportunity to continue to work as long as you can work, continue to drive as long as you can drive, continue to just be normal as long as you can be normal. So we'll honor her, and then of course the great Ed Summers from SAS will be there.
Yes.
And he is blind. He also has RP.
Oh, wow.
And he creates software for the blind and visually impaired to work. So the one that he has right now is the actual software is musical notes that's going to enable you to read graphs and charts. It's going to open up a whole world of employment for the blind and visually impaired.
That is
Amazing.
awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, it is amazing. So he'll be speaking at the dinner as well on that. So now off to the Blind Idol.
Yes.
So the Blind Idol from 4 to 6 is casino. So there's like a charity. They're gonna play games, have a wonderful time.
Where's this going to be held at?
Oh, Raleigh Renaissance Hotel in North Hills.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So we'll have live entertainment, just like you're at the casino, at the MGM.
Yes.
And then the show starts at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 8. 15 contestants. So a little background on the show is that it started at IFB in Winston-Salem, or the Brighter Path, by Anastasia Powell and Chris Flint, and they both are blind. And they wanted to bring this event to help inspire, encourage the people that are in the music industry that are blind and visually impaired. And so they usually have the semifinals there and the finals. So this year, this is the 3rd one, they wanted to bring it to Raleigh.
All right.
So RLCB and Insightful Visionaries are going to host it on June the 3rd.
June the 3rd, yes.
And it's going to be phenomenal. Now, our guest artist. So Matthew Whitaker, who was on, he's a 16-year-old prodigy. He was on the Apollo. And he actually played for Stevie Wonder for his induction. And then he was just on Ellen. So it's amazing. So he will be there with us as our guest artist.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm sorry, how many competitors are you having?
15.
Okay.
And we'll only be able to select 5. All 15 are winners because they're coming from everywhere. We've got Las Vegas, Utah, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Of course, Raleigh. And Greensboro, Asheville, and Winston-Salem. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and it's really creating a lot of buzz. You're really starting to hear about it. It's pretty amazing.
Well, we hope so.
And when
we hope everybody will come out. It's only $10 donation. So, I mean, you can't get a better Saturday afternoon to come out and have fun at the casino, enjoy live entertainment, and then the show starting right after.
Well, and where can listeners go to donate?
Oh, they could go to insightfulvisionaries.com, and there's a donate button there. And we need your support. We need your support so that we can create these equal opportunities for employment for people. We want to do a transportation program because now they got to get to work after we employ them. And just training. Training is so huge to train them to be able to be competitive out there in the workforce.
So how did you get involved? How did this come into your hands, the Blind Idol? How did you get?
Oh, through RLCB.
Okay.
So IFB, you know, they all know each other. They're the big kids on the block, and they've been around a long time. And it went to RLCB, and they asked me to co-host with them.
Well, they chose
together.
a good person to do that with. That's
Well,
for sure.
We're really trying to do it big.
Absolutely. And what's great about this too, it won't be just a competition. I feel it's going to bring so much awareness.
It's all about the awareness.
Absolutely.
It's all about the awareness.
Yes.
The whole thing is about the awareness. For me, it's about the awareness. I want people to know what blind looks like. That's just a little saying that we say. This, what does blind look like? And it comes in so many different forms and fashion. But there's so many gifts that God has given all of us, you know, and good and bad gifts, you know, and then it's just a matter of reaching inside and unwrapping each gift one at a time. As you said, people try so many different things to find where their destiny should be going, you know. Same way with gifts. You don't know how the gift works until you unwrap it, and then sometimes you don't know that the gift, that you have other gifts until your main gift stops working.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's sort of where I was. Did the one thing forever. So it's like, okay, what are these other gifts here for?
Yes.
Let's unwrap some of them.
Wow.
So it is going to be June 3rd.
June 3rd.
And the festivities start at what time?
4 p.m.
So they can go. Now, do they have to get tickets beforehand, or can they be at the door? Or?
Well, we would love for you to go to Eventbrite and get the tickets beforehand.
Okay, and that'll be under what? Under Eventbrite? Blind Idol?
It's
We'll be
under
able to find
Blind Idol.
Okay.
It is.
Awesome.
Semi-final. Absolutely.
6:30, June 3rd. We'll definitely be there. We're
Yes.
very excited.
Yes,
Yes.
And,
We're so excited to have you all.
Thank you,
Awesome,
thank you.
awesome. And again, Carolyn, you're such an inspiration.
Yes, you
and I know myself. I don't know if I could pick myself by the boots and go, okay, I'm going to not only change my life, but I'm going to innovate. I'm going to be a person that's a change agent, and you are definitely inspiration, and your reputation precedes you, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it
wow.
does.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, and I didn't know I could come out of this one either.
Yes.
You know, it's truly God
But
who
God
brought
did
me
it.
out of
Yes,
this
he
one.
did.
Yeah, because I'd never hit rock bottom like that before, you know, and it's just like, whoa, what do we do here, you know? But helping other people, I think that if people would realize that when you help other people, you help yourself.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that helps you right out of there.
Yes.
Because the focus is no longer on your problems.
Yes.
And it's never on you, you know, it's not on you anymore.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, that
Awesome.
is
Well,
so
thank you so much for being here today.
Oh.
I would encourage everybody to take a listen to a woman who has totally changed, and not only her own life, but everyone else's. And it's all about service. It's all about balance. We want to thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
This has been Public Report. Public Report discusses the issues of interest and importance to our viewing area. Please remember that the views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of TCT or the station.
Listen, I'm Dr. Danny Ellis, the Senior Pastor of New Beginning Christian Center. Listen, I believe in giving and you believe in giving. Matter of fact, I believe in tithing, I believe in alms, I believe in seeds, and I also believe in first fruit. And I believe that your tithes and your first fruit belong at your local church. But TCT is a great place to sow a seed. It is a great place to do alms. Here it is. If you trust God for the first 10%, He'll give you what you need to bless TCT. I'm looking for you to send something in this week. God is going to bless you.